A wild weekend to recap, including 6 state tournaments in the books. Plus, the Twins play a couple of thrillers with the Mariners. The Bison baseball season comes to a crushing end. Hot Mike on a Monday. We go now.
Hot Mike with Dom Izzo.
Really? Really, Dom?
No. I like what Dom's doing.
Okay.
Dom Izzo.
Jeez, come on, Dom. What do you think I am, a magician?
Yeah, I'm fired up, Dom. What else could I say?
Absolutely. It was great to get on the field, and then Dom came up to me, and I'm trying to walk away from me. I just wanted to enjoy myself out there.
Hot Mike.
Great job.
There's got to be some kind of intelligent question about something.
Coach Dom Izzo, WDAY in Fargo, North Dakota.
Can you give me a layup or something?
Hot Mike. Presented by Northwestern Mutual.
That program is second to none.
On the networks of WDAY.
You know, if it's not about sports, I find it very hard to concentrate.
Here's Dom Izzo.
Good Monday morning. Welcome to the We Made It edition of Hot Mike on WDAY Extra. KSFL, good morning in Sioux Falls, KMBN Rapid City, and Inforum.com. Happy June, everybody. Second day of the month. We are not located in Los Angeles. The haze yesterday at about 6 o'clock, right on our newscast, Jesse Ricka had a shot during the news last night about 5:40 of that shot that Kyle just had up of downtown that looked like smog. It wasn't. It's haze from the Canadian wildfire, but it wasn't pretty. And it ain't going to be better for at least a little bit today. Hopefully this gets out of here so we can actually enjoy the weather we got. Welcome to our Monday show, everybody. Hope you all had a great weekend. I know for at least our entire production crew, it was a long weekend with the wrap-up of the spring tournament season. I can sit here and say, and I was talking with a few of our people on Saturday as we wrapped up. I was over at softball at Newman Outdoor Field, or at Therrelton Complex on the north side of town, and thinking, well, we did it, which means we're going to have to go and do it again next year. But it was a great technological achievement. I'm going to salute it coming up in our best of the weekend because it is. But a salute, really, to the teams that won titles over the weekend. The North Dakota Spring Sports Calendar nearly in the books. We got boys golf to wrap things up over the next couple days. Class A playing out in Minot starting tomorrow. And then we're done with the high school sports calendar in North Dakota. We'll get to that coming up in just a little bit. We got a lot to unpack today. If you dived into the NCAA baseball tournament over the last couple of days, well worth your time. The Bison played an absolute thriller. We're going to show you that in a second with Creighton. The Women's College World Series has been dynamite. Fantastic softball, which we got to show a little bit of that. Craziness that happened yesterday that made our newscast really late between UCLA and Tennessee with some controversy involved there. We're going to get to that coming up later on in the show as well. We'll also chat some football because it is Monday. We've now turned the calendar to June, and we'll get some talk with our guy Sam Herder coming up later on in the show. But let's start our Monday wrap with the Minnesota Twins. And unfortunately, they're playing on the West Coast, so I don't know how many people, stayed up on Friday night. What a win the Twins had Friday in extras. They lost on a walk-off Saturday to the Mariners. Played yesterday another dynamite. These 3 games in Seattle, my point is, were dynamite baseball games. And I understand if you missed them. But if you devoted any time to the Twins over the last 3 days, you got your money's worth. These were 3 dynamite games. Let's show you what happened yesterday in the finale. I still call it Safeco Park. Between the Twins and the Mariners. They got some great defense in this game. They couldn't touch Luis Castillo early on. How about our guy Julio Rodriguez with a great diving catch out in center field to keep the Twins off the board? This was old school baseball yesterday because we had some dynamite defense. Our guy Cody Clemens, again, making a fabulous play. Where would the Twins be without this guy? I don't know, but he's making a case that he's got to be on the field at all times. Harrison Bader in center. Byron Buxton was activated this weekend. He got the day off yesterday. Bader with a terrific diving catch in center to keep this game scoreless through 6 innings. Good old pitcher's duel we had yesterday in this one. Full apologies are now going to be issued. Strecker owes apologies to Chris Paddock because he was ready to get rid of him. He was not the only one. Paddock has been sensational. 8 innings, 4 hits, 1 run. He struck out 10 Mariners yesterday. He turned into Cy Young. Where's this guy been? Paddock was fantastic against a pretty good Mariners batting order. He was mowing them down yesterday. He made 1 mistake in the game. He got a nice defensive play, too. 8 innings. Rocco let a guy go 8 innings. We should stop the show there. His 1 mistake came in the bottom of the 7th on Cal Raleigh, who, if you were to stop people in the streets and ask you who's leading the majors in home runs, this is the answer. I don't even know if anybody knows who Cal Raleigh plays for. He's got 23 home runs. It's a 1-0 Mariner lead. That's a hanger, and Major League hitters aren't going to miss that. Crush that to right. That went 362 feet to make it a 1-0 Mariner lead through 7. But much like every game in this series, the Twins made a rally. Top half of the 9th, Bader hits a sac fly to center, enough to score Clemens, who got on base, and that ties the game at 1. Again, the Twins did this in every game in this series to tie things up. The Mariners, though, would walk it off. Randy Arozarena with the infield drawn in, gets the base hit to score Rodriguez. The Mariners wearing their fantastic old-school unis knock off the Twins 2-1, and they take the series. Both walk-off wins for Seattle. 5-4 Saturday night and 11, and then last night a 2-1 win. What a dynamite year, a series. Just fantastic. It goes the way of the Mariners, though, with a 2-1 win, and they take 2 games out of 3. Does not take away anything from Paddock. He was great. 8 innings, struck out 10. We have any issue with Griffin Jax pitching yesterday in the 9th inning at a tie game and not Duran? I don't know if that's a big deal or not, but it was Jax who pitched the bottom of the 9th yesterday. Castillo went 6 innings, the starter for the Mariners, and allowed 4 hits, no runs, and struck out 5. Just a good baseball game yesterday. You don't see this too often anymore. Again, Cal Raleigh, the major league leader with 23 home runs. No off time for the Twins. Right back at it. They go from Seattle, not to Oakland, remember. It's Sacramento. They will face, they're not officially called the Sacramento A's. They're just the Athletics. For the purpose of this program, they're the Sacramento A's because they're playing in Sacramento. Joe Ryan against former Met great Luis Severino will go for, I almost said Oakland, for the A's tonight. I can't wait for people to watch this. Kyle, have you seen any games from Sacramento yet? Have you seen this ballpark? It is tiny. It is a tiny clip. The best part about it, I don't know if Corey Provis told us on the show, if anybody, and he may have said this on the show, if anybody needs to use the restroom, they have to leave and walk through the outfield to get there. And it's a minor league ballpark. We'll hammer this over the next 4 days because this is the Twins are playing. And there's not great faith that I have that the A's are ever going to get to Las Vegas. But this is the stop for the next 3 years. Anyway, that's what the matchup is tonight. Twins and A's coming up 9 o'clock. Again, we got some late starts. And those games might be over quick. The ball is flying out of that ballpark as well. That was the more normal baseball game yesterday. The crazy one involved the Bison. And a quick recap before we show you the highlights from yesterday's game. NDSU lost its opener to Arkansas on Friday, 6-2. They've actually played a pretty good ball game against an Arkansas team that is ending up onto the Super Regionals. Is the 3rd seed in this. They're the highest seed left, by the way, after the weekend. The top 2 seeds in the NCAA baseball tournament are out. Vanderbilt and Texas both got beaten this weekend. Way to go, SEC. Anyway, so NDSU had to come back and play in a elimination game Saturday against Kansas. Kansas, a top 25 ranked team, won 40-some-odd games. The Bison hung on, got a great pitching performance from Logan Knight, and won 4-3. That meant They moved to another elimination game yesterday against Creighton, a team the Bison know that they played twice this season. They fell behind 2-0 and started a rally in the top of the second with a home run from Sam Canton, who blasted, makes it a 2-1 score. It's now 3-2 in the third. Bison answer back on this hit from Davis Hamilton. We're tied at 3. Creighton, though, would get this home run, and that's a monster from Hess. That one from Kyle Hess makes it a 3-run shot. So the Creighton goes up 10-3. Then the Bison start a rally together. Dante Smith, who had a big day, RBI single, 10-4. Davis Hamilton, watch where this goes, folks, onto the roof of right field, a 3-run home run. Now it's 10-7. All right, got my attention back in the game here in the 6th inning. NDSU bullpen was great. Hayden Silty comes in, gets some great defensive help. That is a fabulous catch in left field by Colton Becker, who did that a couple times this weekend. He had a dynamite catch Saturday against Kansas that keeps the Blue Jays off the board. So it stays 10-7, top of the 8th. Smith again, the freshman, right down the right field line. This will score 2 runs. Now it's 10-9. Later in the inning, Hamilton delivers again, a base hit. They send Smith, and we're tied at 10, which was the score in the bottom of the 9th. And then they pitch to Hess, and he delivers with the walk-off down the right field line to win the game for Creighton. An 11-10 final score. Absolute gut punch to end the Bison season with a walk-off loss. Creighton would move on to the regional final. The Bison season ends with an unbelievable comeback, but ends up coming 1 run short in a game where, frankly, it was 10-3 after 4 innings, and seemingly thought it was over, but they put together, this is a team that struggled for offense all year long and actually put together one of their best offensive games of the season yesterday. Afterwards, clearly, emotion was high as the Bison season is now officially over.
I told the guys we have nothing to hang our heads about with how we played, our effort, or anything like that. And then, congrats to Coach Service. I know it's his final go-around. I know him personally a little bit and have nothing but respect for him and his program, and thought they did a really good job of finding a way to win that game. And best of luck to them tonight as they keep competing for the championship here.
Questions for the student athletes? Go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, I guess for both of you guys, just what are the sudden emotions after a back-and-forth game like that?
Crushed, It was obviously a great fight, but, we were looking to come out on top there, and that one really hurt. But just a great fight.
Really, for both of you guys, either you guys, Creighton goes up 10-7 after I believe it was the 4th inning, 3rd inning. But what was kind of the message that you guys had going forward after that kind of allowed you guys to get back into the game?
We had a lot of game left, so pretty much just trying to keep spirits high and fight through any adversity that we had already gone through, and we've done that a lot. So just a lot of game left, and just keep on going on because only guaranteed 5 more innings. So that was kind of our mindset.
Had a heck of a run for a team that played some dynamite baseball at the end of the year. Of course, go and win the Summit League championship. And frankly, offensively all season long, this was not their MO. Pitching was the way. Pitching and great defense was how they won games this season. That might be, they scored 12 runs against Tulane, 11 against Northern Colorado on the road in Greeley where the ball flies there. 11 against Northern Colorado here in Fargo. That output yesterday, and they scored 12 against Omaha in the game actually we brought to you. There was a short inning game there. That output is one of their best offensive outputs of the season. Dynamite. They're going to lose some talented guys. You saw 2 of them there. Canton transferred in from Gonzaga, was a really good player for him over the last couple of years. They lose Logan Knight, who's been dominant on the mound. Although I think we were visiting off air about what he's going to do. He may have another year back. If they get Knight and Nolan Johnson's back, they're all set at the top of the rotation. But they're not immune to obviously the portal open in baseball yesterday, I want to say. Jake Schaffner's a guy you look at. Schaffner's been a 2-time all-league first-team selection in both his freshman and sophomore years. That's a dynamite guy that I don't know how you hang on to. That's the worry that begins now. But salute to what Tyler Oaks did. We had him on, I want to say, middle of the winter when their non-conference came out, because I asked him, you're playing LSU and Alabama this year? What are you doing? And it worked out because they were certainly toughened up by that throughout the entire season. Great year, and we'll see what they have in store in 2026. They've got a couple of high-profile incoming recruits, a couple out of Canada. Knight's a Canadian. Dante Smith's a Canadian. It's worked out that they've had a pipeline there of finding some really good talent north of the border. Last thing before we wrap up our show, or wrap up our opening segment, we just got started. Salute to our guy Tom Hoagie on the golf course yesterday at the Memorial. Tom's had a rough go of it here of late. Missed the last couple cuts, missed the cut at the PGA, missed the cut at the Colonial, his hometown course. Well, Jack Nicklaus's tournament, which is a super tough golf course, he was great. Conditions were not easy, and Tom was right in the thick of things in the final round yesterday. This is approach at the 15th hole. But that scoots it back. That was his approach there. Would tap that in. Made a night. That was actually for par, to save par at 15. At the par 3 16th, we know how good he is on the par 3s. This was a long birdie putt, and he would cozy up to the hole. He was playing with Bobby McIntyre, who's actually played a couple of rounds with this season. Made a nice par there. He would go to the 18th. He had a pretty good approach shot. 18 is not an easy, and Scotty Scheffler was out, of course, running away with this. But this was a nice way for Hoagie to finish with a birdie at the last to get in at 1 under. He would tie for 7th, so congrats to Tom on his finish at the Memorial. And this is a very nice weekend because this is one of those tournaments that's up there in terms of payout and in terms of FedEx Cup points. The money right now, I know it's crazy to say this, is inconsequential. It really is. He won $603,000 this weekend, which is fantastic. But for him, that's not the big part of it. The big deal is the FedEx Cup points. And he zooms up. You see that on our graphic. He now goes from 27th to 23rd in FedEx Cup points. And remember, the top 30 automatically get invited to the Tour Championship, which he played last year and has played well there over the 2 times he's been invited. More importantly, and I know we talked about this earlier in the year, the Ryder Cup is this year, and you got to have really good performances to stack those on top of them. He played and finished with a U.S. captain. Keegan Bradley is the captain of the Ryder Cup team. He had the same exact finish that Hoagie did. And we'll get the updated Ryder Cup points coming up probably when we're on the air today of where he is. He's got to stack some more really good finishes, but he's on their radar of trying to make the U.S. Ryder Cup team. We have a packed show coming up for you here on this Monday. We'll salute our best of the weekend. We do it each and every Monday coming up here in just a few minutes. At 9:35, Sam Herder will be back with us. We'll chat on the big news that happened late last week, the FCS national television games. Obviously, the Bison got picked for their game with South Dakota State. A couple other topics I want to get to with Sam coming up at 9:35. At 10 o'clock, Jeff Kolpack will be with us, as he is each and every Monday at 10 o'clock. We'll go through that Bison baseball wrap-up. A couple other topics we'll hit with Jeff at 10 o'clock. And at 10:35, Carter Evanson will join us from West Fargo-Horace High School. Amidst all the other news that was happening Saturday night, Carter announced that he is verbally committed to play basketball at the University of North Dakota. Of course, he's wrapping up his junior season. He's still got another year of high school hoops to come. But he becomes the first Division I men's basketball recruit out of Horace High School. and he'll join us at 10:35 to discuss that before we wrap up the show. So, an action-packed Monday to get us started here on Hot Mic. We come back, we'll salute our best of the weekend we saw over the last couple days. Hot Mic just getting started. Back after this on WDAY Extra, KSFL, KMBN, and Inforum.com. All right, we do it each and every Monday. We salute our best of the weekend. Plenty of topics to get to here today. Let's rock and roll from Newman Outdoor Field. The Class B baseball tournament was held this weekend. I know the Class B guys love playing at the Pro Stadium. And for the fourth year in a row, on the Monday after the Class B, Thompson is sitting on top. Congratulations to the Tommies. They had a heck of a road to get there, battle it out on a crazy game, have a win and a walk-off hit by pitch against Northern Cass in the semifinals on Friday, then faced Lemoore, Litchfield, Marion, Edgeley on Saturday night in the title game. Got out to a 2-1 lead. They added on some runs as the game went along, took advantage of some poor defense, a couple of bad throws, and became the first team in North Dakota since Drayton in the 50s and early 60s to four-peat as a Class B baseball state champion. Think about this, that the seniors on this team, all they know is winning the state title. This is the final out on Saturday night. It's a remarkable accomplishment that they went through, and every year they played varsity baseball, they won the title. It's phenomenal. Congratulations to the Tommies on bringing home another championship. They entered as the third seed and ended up winning the whole thing. Pretty good stuff there on Saturday night at Newman Outdoor Field. Just a great tournament with some really good baseball, and no surprise, Thompson's walking away with a state title in hand. Also from the Diamond this weekend, shout out to our guy Cole Hage, who we had on the show on Thursday, I want to say, from Fargo-Davies High School, whose college career came to a crushing end last night. We talked about how difficult the Bison game was, and it was that's a gut punch. Same thing happened with Page and his Kentucky team, but Cole was monstrous this weekend. Anytime you looked up, if you were watching Kentucky or they faced Clemson in their first game, it's a crazy way he got around the bases yesterday. This is one instance where he reached on a error, took second, then come around here and he'll score on a wild pitch. That's just a outrageous way to get around the base paths, but he did yesterday and added to it they won that game to Kentucky over Clemson, who was the host seed, and then against West Virginia in an absolute wild game last night. He had a couple of hits, drove in 3 runs, had a dynamite catch as well. West Virginia, though, would come back and beat Kentucky 13-12. Page had 2 hits and 3 RBIs in this game. But West Virginia scored 6 runs in the bottom of the 8th. Kentucky was up 12-7 going to the bottom of the 8th. The Mountaineers scored 6 runs and won the game 13-12. That was Kentucky's second loss. So West Virginia, not necessarily known as a baseball power, is going to the Super Regionals next weekend. Cole's collegiate career is over. Tip of the hat there. He's going to play professional baseball, folks. Just a matter of where. He's finished his season hitting .322 every season in college baseball. He hit over 300. More importantly, he hit .322 in the SEC. It's one thing if you want to do it in the Ivy League, which I think the Ivy is really good baseball. But if you're hitting .322 in the SEC, you're going to get noticed and hit 12 home runs. We'll keep our eyes on that now. He's able to sign a free agent deal now that his collegiate career is over. Congrats there. Lastly, this is going to be self-referential. I don't care, because I got to give a shout-out to everybody on our WDAY live sports team. They are the best of the weekend because we did it. We produced 6 state tournaments at once this weekend. So if you were watching softball at Therrelton Park at NDSU, if you were watching Class A baseball up in Grand Forks, if you watched softball up in Grand Forks as well, the brand new complex at UND, if you were watching soccer out at West Fargo Cheyenne, or obviously tennis in Grand Forks, or baseball at Newman, yeah, we did that. And it was awesome. Saturday, most especially. Saturday, we had all of the championship games beyond soccer here on Extra. We went from Class A softball, Class A baseball, Class B softball, Class B baseball on Saturday. We were on the air from noon to, Kyle, what time were you guys done? 10:15? When did you guys wrap up on Saturday? I can't remember when those did. Yeah, okay, 10:30 on Saturday night. It's fantastic. So, yeah, we're going to brag about it. At least I'm going to brag about ourselves. We did fantastic. The coverage looked great. You could stream every game as well. First time we've ever done that. First time it's ever been done. Now, there have been other spring tournaments that have been televised, like Class B baseball or softball has gotten on TV. Maybe A baseball. Mostly it's been the B, but none at the same time. None that you could watch from your phone or your computer, tablet, or on television. That's a win for everybody, from management, all the ones to our camera operators, to graphics, obviously our broadcasters, audio, you name it. Our engineers, most especially, they deserve all the love on that because they made it happen and set it up. So props to that for making it happen. I was just a small part of it, just calling the games. You got to see the actual athletes perform. That was pretty darn cool. And congratulations. I'll say congratulations to us. It's a heck of a way to wrap up our athletic year. We've got one more live event to come in a couple weeks with the Red River Amateur Championship, the golf tournament we've done. This will be our 5th year, I believe, of doing that. And then we're actually officially wrapped for the athletic year. But that was awesome. Awesome to see. 2 thumbs up. It was just fun to watch, let alone be a part of on Saturday, to go from title game to title game. It was great stuff. All right, we're overdue for a break. We'll get caught up here. We come back. Our guy Sam Herder will join us, update everything that's going on in FCS football. We'll look ahead to a couple of the highlight games in week 2 of this upcoming season, as we're now officially 89 days out from the Bison opener and the UND opener and the Jacks opener. Back on Hot Mic right after this. Welcome back, everybody. Monday morning edition of Hot Mic, off and rolling. Jeff Kolpack will join us about a half hour. Chat about a bunch of stuff, including the Bison baseball season coming to a crushing end yesterday in the NCAA tournament. It is Monday at 9:30, which means we visit with our guy Sam Herder from Hero Sports, BetMGM, as we close in 89 days out from the start of the college football season. You had a great tweet late last week as we're talking everything on getting ready for the season, which we're all excited about. But there's a looming about 8 decisions. The biggest one is, I don't know how well reported it's been currently, and you tweeted about it, is about the actual House settlement, which now it's June 2nd. We're less than a month away from when it's supposed to be signed off on, and it hasn't been signed off on. So the question is, should we be nervous about this?
Yeah, I think there's probably some angst and nervousness and anxiousness going on, because there has obviously been a ton of reporting about the House settlement, but it's been in the hands of the judge for more than 2 weeks now. And I haven't really seen anything about, like, 1, why is it taking so long? And 2, what if she denies the settlement? And this can't get settled out of court? Like, that's not an exaggeration when I say that's a doomsday scenario for the NCAA, because instead of $3 billion in damages, it's like 15 to 20 billion dollars in damages. And I've heard multiple times if they can't settle this out of court, the NCAA is probably going to go bankrupt. And so a part of me says, well, like if she would have said no and was going to deny the settlement, she would have done so already. And since it's taken so long, I'm guessing there's some sort of behind closed doors type of negotiating going on. I know she wanted the roster limits to be grandfathered in. NCAA and the Power 5 conferences, Power 4, kind of dug their heels in a little bit, but then they kind of created some leniency. But I don't know. It's been 2 or 3 weeks now with the decision is in her hands, and we're still waiting. And it's now June 2nd, and there's still no decision on it. And once it's finalized, then everything kind of starts to go from there with like new governance and maybe some realignment stuff. But right now we're kind of just waiting to see and kind of left wondering like what is taking so long, and what if she denies the settlement? Then what happens?
I love when we can play lawyers on television as well. We're supposed to be a month out from paying about $1 billion to athletes, and we don't know when or if it's going to start. It's just I love the sport, but it just makes me want to bash my head against a wall sometimes too.
Yeah, and with mid-majors as well, part of it is the roster limits. Like what, is our football program, can we have, like if a team plans to opt in, can we have 105 or can we have 110? Same with other sports as well. Like what are our roster limits? But with the House settlements, whether you opt in or not, a part of the settlement is that back pay.
You got to pay in, right?
Yeah, you have to pay. So even if NDSU doesn't opt into the settlement, that part of the settlement is paying current athletes. There's still the back damages, and that's the $3 billion mark, and that's where the NCAA distribution is going to be reduced to help pay that back pay. And so these mid majors are probably wondering too, like, what's our NCAA distribution, going to be? And so that's another part of it as well, is trying to figure out their budgets. And are they going to budget for, we're going to have a few $100,000 every year being taken away, or are we going to have that now? So there's so much behind the scenes stuff going on as well with this House settlement.
Just shake your head, like figure it out. Because they know the topic last week, obviously with the SEC having its meetings, was all about the college football playoff expansion. And then at the end of the week, we got talk on the NCAA basketball tournament expansion. Fine, but figure out the other stuff first. Like we can't get to that until we know what the actual playing rules are for this season.
Yeah, I mean, the NCAA has got to be able to function first,
correct,
to be able to hold all these tournaments. And if they go to court for this House case, and again, that's a very, very bad scenario. I still feel like they're going to get it settled somehow, some way, even if the judge denies this settlement. Like I doubt she's going to 100% deny it. Let's take it to court. It's probably going to be like, let's get some wiggle room here somewhere. But there's just so much different stuff going on last week with the new governance and the SEC. Are they going to play 8 or 9 games in the CFP format? And now NCAA tournament expansion all came out of nowhere. And I'm going like, can someone talk about the House settlement and like ask like what's taking so long? Because this is kind of a big deal that we need to get figured out.
Well, and the SEC 8 or 9 game schedule is important for the FCS because those FCS games, Sam, will be gone. I mean, there are schools that Alabama, all those schools play SEC teams. They will, or FCS teams. That will not happen if they go to 9 games.
Yeah, it all kind of comes down to the formats of if they get more automatic bids,
right?
Maybe they're more likely to play the FCS because strength of schedule won't be put into question as much. But if it's going to be, I think 5 plus 11 with a bunch of 11 at-large bids, then like strength of schedule and quality opponents, that all gets taken into the equation. And then in that case, the SEC would probably play one more conference game just to strengthen up their schedule. And I know there's also talk about just with the SEC and the Big Ten and all the power conferences, they need to, the cost of running an athletic department keeps on going up, and they got to pay these athletes, and there's more lawsuits they might have to pay into. And so kind of the talk now is they want as many mainstream games as possible. So if the SEC and the Big Ten have a scheduling agreement, or the SEC plays one more conference game, their TV deal is probably going to go up because, Auburn versus LSU instead of LSU versus Mercer, like that's going to get more TV ratings.
Correct.
That's going to get you a few more, $1 million. And so there is concern about not only from the FCS perspective, but even the Group of Five perspective of, how much longer are these power conferences going to play us, because they might just want to play each other, because then that fattens up their already pretty fat TV contracts.
Well, I look too at the end of this season, like Tennessee Tech is playing Kentucky. That's a huge game for Tennessee Tech to keep their athletic program going. That's in week 12. Week 13, Eastern Illinois plays Bama. Mercer, who's pretty good, plays Auburn. Samford plays Texas A&M. Those schools need those paychecks to basically keep their athletic department afloat.
Yeah, they're really important, to kind of help that budget and kind of help them operate, get all those expenses and all that. But there are, if FCS versus FBS games went away completely, I think that could be trouble for some FCS athletic departments. But I still think they'd be able to maneuver some money around and still stay afloat and would still be able to operate and that sort of stuff. It would still hurt because they would have to move money around. Maybe they're paying their coaches less and all that. And so all that is to say is the FCS versus FBS games are very, very important. And if they went away ever, that would hurt FCS teams and athletic departments in general a lot, because some of those payouts are very important for these teams. And there's a lot of teams that play two FBS opponents just to get $1 million total between the two games to help kind of fund things.
Just throw it on the pile of other things that are going on right now that need to get resolved. Late last week, Sam, we had the first droppings of college football TV schedule stuff for the upcoming season. There's a couple I wanted to highlight. Obviously, here in the Missouri Valley Football Conference, we found out the Bison game with South Dakota State is getting picked up by one of the ESPN networks, as did the USD SDSU game. I was a little surprised because I kept hearing that the USD NDSU game here in Fargo was a potential to be picked up by one of the ESPN networks. We also found out South Dakota's opener at Iowa State is going to be on Big Fox. That's a big deal for the Coyotes. UND's opener with K-State will be an ESPN Plus game. Out of those that I mentioned, any stand out to you that got picked up by national TV?
Yeah, I think it was interesting that, you would, because, ESPN really likes the Fargo Dome. And, I've heard that, just having that big Bison logo, on the television, like people recognize that brand. And there are so many, even with the FCS playoffs or any FCS games on national TV, when it's FCS versus FCS, most of those viewers are just casual viewers. And so if they see brand names, quote unquote brand names from the FCS perspective, they'll watch. Or if they see, 1 versus number 6, next to the team names, they'll typically, tune in. But I figured there would probably be a game, in the Fargo Dome, and so USD at NDSU would have made sense. But they pretty much just took last year's games and flipped them around, with the home team. But getting the Dakota marker on there, that was probably a safe guess as well. I don't know if like NDSU at UND, I think would have been kind of cool, just because when the Alara Center is packed, that's one of the loudest venues in the FCS. But other than that, like, Illinois State can draw a pretty good crowd, if they can get like a homecoming game. Like, so I was trying to think of like options outside of just Dakota versus Dakota. And, it's probably from an ESPN perspective, they're probably going, we know these teams are probably going to be ranked in the top 5 or the top 10. So let's get Dakota versus Dakota. And they end up with these two.
The Big Sky, and I know you visited with Commissioner Tom Wister, so we're going to have him on the show this week on their new TV contract that they got with ESPN, doubling up to 4 games. And I like what they did, and I hope the Valley does this, and I know the coaches, maybe the players don't want it, is to play on Friday. The Big Sky is going to do that, Sam, with their game, with half of their games. I'm intrigued that Northern Arizona got on their schedule, as they're going to host Idaho in one of the games. What'd you make of the Big Sky TV games?
Yeah, it's interesting that the Big Sky and the Missouri Valley Football Conference, like, they pretty much alternate. Like, the Big Sky, they're up for renewing theirs, and then like 2 years later it's the Valley. And so, like, the Big Sky get 2 national TV games, and then a couple of years later the Valley gets 2. Well, now the Big Sky re up there is they get 4. And so in 2 years, 3 years, whenever the Valley deal is up with ESPN, like maybe they get up to 4. I don't know, but it's really good to see the Big Sky get 4 games on national TV. Most likely going to be ESPN2 or ESPNU for all of those. Maybe they get on the main ESPN with a really late night kickoff, which is kind of to their advantage.
Exactly right.
I mean, they could play a 8 p.m. local game in Sacramento, and that's 10 o'clock Central Time and 11 o'clock on the East Coast, and so they do have that advantage. But they do have some really good games here. They get a Montana home game, they get a Montana State home game, they get a Sac State home game, and they typically draw pretty well crowds, 12, 13,000. There's obviously a lot of hype as well behind Sacramento State, and so they're kind of in the headlines. And then Idaho going to Northern Arizona will be interesting. I know they've gone to the Kibbe Dome in the past for Idaho, but going to NAU will be new. And Northern Arizona has a dome. It's kind of a cool indoor stadium. They should be pretty good this year, the Lumberjacks, and it'll be Halloween night. And so if you market it well enough to your students, you could get a pretty good crowd there for the ESPN cameras.
Yeah, the start time, we talked about it on the show Friday. It opens up so many more doors that, frankly, this league and the Missouri Valley Football Conference can't do, because you're not going to kick off games at 10 o'clock at night or 9 o'clock local. You can do that in Arizona. You can do that in Washington, where you don't have to worry. I mean, it's a 7:30 start, even though it might be 10:30 on the East Coast. ESPN loves its windows, man. They can do that.
Yeah, and getting some Friday night games in there as well. Well,
yes.
It's kind of what do you want to – what do you kind of tend to more, the TV or the fans? Because
the fans are left out, man.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, Sacramento, they can probably draw pretty well on a Friday, but I don't know if Montana or Montana State fans would necessarily like a Friday game, because similar to NDSU fans, they travel from all over the region to Bozeman or Missoula. And so a Friday night game for Montana fans, I think would be fun for them, but at the same time, you could still see some disgruntled fans saying well, we can't make that game because, we got a farm or we got to work and we have to drive 7 hours across the state to get to that game, and we can't swing that on a Friday. And so I do like the Friday night games from a TV perspective, but I also get from a fan perspective, it can maybe rub some fans the wrong way there.
All right, we're going to do our last thing here before we let you go, as we kept going on the spotlight games for each week. I'm going to tell you right now, I don't know if you got to week 2 yet, but week 2 is kind of sparse outside of the headline game, which is South Dakota State at Montana State. Will get all the hype, as it should, for that game in Bozeman. I struggle with the other one, Sam. I threw out Eastern Washington at Boise State simply because it's the red turf team against the blue turf team. I don't know if that game's going to be any good. Rhode Island at Stony Brook, maybe. Rhode Island made the playoffs last year. Stony Brook thought they should. And then Portland State at UND for Eric Schmidt's home opener in Grand Forks. But to me, obviously, the headliner, and we're going to talk about it as we get closer to the start of the season, is the Jacks at the Cats, then that game in Bozeman.
Yeah, that'll be an electric one there, and will tell us a lot about both teams.
Yep.
In week 1, Montana State plays Oregon, and then South Dakota State hosts Sacramento State. And I remember saying a couple of weeks ago that could be a dangerous game for SDSU, the Sac State one. And so, there's a chance that both SDSU and Montana State could be 0-1 going into that week 2 game. And so obviously the loser there could be 0-2. I'm not sure if Sac State will beat South Dakota State, but it's certainly a possibility. So that's a high pressure game potentially for both Montana State and the Jackrabbits there in week 2. But should be a great crowd there. That's the what do they call it, like the Gold Nights or Gold Rush or something like that for Montana State. Everyone wears gold. They play it at night, so that should be a great atmosphere. Rhodey and Stony Brook possibly could be a ranked matchup. I know Rhodey will be ranked in the top 25. Stony Brook will probably right fringe top 25. They had kind of a really breakout year last year, going from 0-1 wins to having a winning record last year. So that should be a good one as well. Portland State at UND, I think could be interesting. Portland State record-wise hasn't been super strong the last couple of years, but they always usually have a pretty good offense, and so that could be a tough test for UND there. But at home for UND, you kind of favor them there. Eastern Washington, Boise State should be interesting. Eastern Washington has pushed some FBS opponents in recent years, even though they haven't gotten a win. But yeah, I think the loser of that game should have to turn their turf purple, just up the stakes a little bit.
Yes.
In that one.
Let's put something on the line on that. Before I let you go, I love the scheduling thought for the Jackson Montana State to go and play. I know it was made a while ago, but we need more of those. If the division is going to go the way it's going, we need more of the top teams to play each other in the regular season. Then that's the trade-off, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's fun for the fans. It's you can sell more tickets. Montana State, even if they brought in Utah Tech, they still would have probably sold the same amount of tickets. But for other teams, that maybe aren't selling out every game, if you can get some home and homes, some high caliber home and homes, you can sell more tickets, draw more revenue. I don't know if there's a way because most of these conferences are with ESPN, and so if there's a pitch of hey, could we get an extra ESPN game because South Dakota State is going to Montana State?
Correct.
Can we get that on ESPN2 if we put that late at night? And it's a good gauge for us as well as FCS fans or media to kind of get a good feel for teams. Because if South Dakota State played 4 bad FCS opponents and they're 4-0 in the non-conference, we still don't know a whole lot about South Dakota State. It's a bunch of new players and they beat up on bad opponents. Like, how good are they? I don't know. But they're playing Montana State now. And so and Sacramento State. And so you really like these matchups to get a gauge of these teams.
Great stuff as always, Bud. Thanks for getting us starting on the week. Have a great week. We'll do this again next Monday, okay?
All right. Sounds good. Thank you.
Sam Herder joins us each and every Monday at 9:30. Give us the lowdown on everything going on in FCS football. Again, we're still waiting for the judge. Claudia Wilkin is her name to sign off on the House settlement. Then some actual decisions, and we can discuss that going forward. We'll break. We come back. We'll wrap up our first hour. Big second hour planned. Jeff Kolpack will get us started here in just a few minutes. Back on Hot Mic to wrap up hour one right after this. Holy cow, 1 hour already in the books. Second hour coming up. West Fargo-Horace's Carter Evanson later on committing to UND Hoops. Jeff Kolpack around the corner. Back to start our second hour on a Monday morning right after this.
It's that time. An author.
Offensive production, number 1. Number 2. I forgot.
Golfer.
It'd be like going on a 3-person best shot, and we were saying, Kolpack, you got to make a 25-footer every time. You wouldn't putt first. I'd have Tim putt first.
And one heck of a TV personality.
This game is for the Cooper Cup.
It's the Forum's Jeff Kolpack.
4! I should have yelled 2.
Here he is, former Bison baseball standout Jeff Kolpack joins us each and every Monday. His appearance is brought to us by Northwestern Mutual.
Former what? What word did you use?
You got it, standout. Your alma mater played a heck of a weekend.
Do you remember 3 weeks ago in this very space?
I knew you were going to go there.
We were talking about spring sports.
Yep.
And you all but buried
I
the
did not
Bison.
bury them.
Yes, you did.
I did not.
You were going that way. And I said, hold on here. It's baseball. You never know. Things switch around on a dime. When are you going to start listening to me?
I did not bury them. First,
we've been together, 15 years? When are you going to start listening to me?
Well, I'll let you know when I start. But the game, they played a really good game Saturday. Offense was never their deal, which is ironic. They scored 10 runs yesterday. They beat Kansas 4-3, and heck, they fall behind 10-3 to Creighton. It seems like it's lights out with the way they score runs, but somehow they grind that game back to 10-all yesterday.
Well-coached team.
Yeah.
A well-coached team that, and talking to Alex Erlob last week, he said, and appropriately so, he goes, in this game, you can't get too high or you can't get too low. And because I asked him, I go, how did you overcome those losing streaks during the season? And it looked like the season was heading south a little bit. And he said, well, it goes to your mentality of baseball. And I think that's what they parlayed into the microcosm of the game. You're down 10-3, and you just can't sit there and sulk about it and pack up and say, okay, the season's over. It's if they were the home team, might be a different deal.
Yeah.
That's one of those baseball things in the later innings. The home team, it's such an advantage.
Also, when you have to play the extra games, I mean, your staff, your what you have out there. I mean, Lockenmeyer have been great, and that was the first earned run he had given up. That was the walk-off in 15 innings.
It was a cheap earned run.
Yes,
I mean,
correct. How they got their guys on base.
Schaffner made a heck of a try with the ball in deep short, and the ball gets by Erlob at first. Guy goes to second. Obviously, he sacked a third, and then a chopper, which hit in front of home plate and goes over Erlob's head.
I mean, what are you going to do on a play like that? But I look at Tyler Oakes used the portal. He got a guy like Alex Erlob to come back home from West Fargo after playing at junior college and then at Charleston Southern last year. Sam Canton was a Gonzaga transfer. He's found guys that have been able to play. He's also recruited well. Schaffner's a guy, Janesville, Wisconsin, 2-time now first-team All-League selection. You hate to be,
now.
Right. And I said it right off the top, like, okay, well, they got to be worried about that kid.
Well,
He's
the portal opens today for baseball, and I'm sure Schaffner will be targeted by many.
He should be.
Sure
He's really good.
Lachenmeyer will be targeted by many.
Yep. I mean, if you're Nolan Johnson, who doesn't throw 100, but he's lefty and throws low 90s.
That's good enough.
Right? He's got another year of eligibility. That's a guy that you look at and say, well, that's one we probably want to take a time. That's unfortunate because, again, it's the era we live in. It's not just football and basketball, folks. Baseball, the teams that are still playing, and people will watch the tournament over the next couple weekends, you look at, there's some high money out there that guys transfer to go play at Arkansas or to go play at Coastal Carolina, schools like that.
Yeah, and you can't blame them.
Not in one bit.
If I'm Jake Schaffner, I'm,
Gets that? Good luck to you, man.
Yep.
Absolutely. Tip of the hat. Thanks
you get
for 2 years
$100
here.
grand,
Yep.
See ya.
I will say, though, the baseball volatility, 1 and 2 seats both out. Vanderbilt lost. Texas lost this weekend at home in the regional.
I was talking about that with a former baseball parent of mine, good friend of mine, and there's just so many players out there, Dom. There's so many players in baseball that a Utah Valley can come up and beat somebody, which it did.
Yep.
Which and Vandy gets beat by Wright State.
Yeah.
Wright State, Ohio.
Yep. Horizon League.
Yeah.
Stand up.
But there's so many players out there, and again, I go back to when our kids were playing the JUCO circuit and junior college baseball. You go out to Dawson Community College in Glendive, Montana. Like, who in the hell would go to school out there? You get there, you get to the park.
Yeah.
Guys from Miami, guys from Utah, guys from California.
That just goes there.
It's just so many players out there that are looking for a place to play.
Yeah.
And
there you go.
Yeah.
So Kyle had 6 guys from Arizona on his team in Minnesota.
Yeah,
so there you
go. One time they were playing Northland Community College up in Thief River, and the entire infield
you told me this.
was from I want to say Dominican Republic or some, and they're all speaking Spanish, and so you got this team from Bismarck State, and they're just talking. They don't need to do signs because they didn't think anybody knew Spanish, and
knew that well.
But Bismarck State had one kid from Bismarck who spoke fluent Spanish or understood it, so he's telling everybody what they're saying.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, just the amount of players that are out there is just a wild amount. So Saturday morning, you spent at a spot you've spent many years, Fargo Marathon Saturday. Give me the vibe. To me, leading up to it, I don't know if it's because we're not as involved in it as we used to be. It does not seem it has the amount of momentum that it did even 5 years ago.
Within the community, yes, there's no question. Without Mark Knutson around, unfortunately, there's just not that energy, that promotional piece that he lives here. He's part of it. He was the founder.
It's the force of it, man.
He's vested in it. Yep. The force, that's a good word for it. The company that owns the Fargo-Moorhead, Ventures Endurance, and I saw this coming a couple years ago.
Where are they based out of again? You remember?
Well, it's a Gannett company.
Okay.
I'm not sure exactly. It's a Gannett company, and for those that don't know, Gannett is in the newspaper industry.
Gutted newspapers.
Oh, they gutted Sioux Falls Argus Leader.
Yep.
They gutted the St. Cloud Times. It's all about the money truck going to the corporate office.
Yep.
And it's not the director's fault now here. It's not Chip Pazuski's fault. He's just working for the company and doing what he has to do. But, they cut out the bike. They cut out the dog run.
Yep.
And that's the MO of Gannett.
Do they still
they
have
slash.
Do they still
they
have
slash.
Do they still even do the expo that they do? Remember?
They do. It's at Concordia. It's much smaller.
Much smaller.
Yep.
They're not even involved with the dome anymore.
No,
right?
well, it costs money.
Yeah.
It costs money to rent out the dome.
Yeah.
And so they use the public street between the dome and the shack.
Yeah.
Which, so let me get to my point here.
Sorry.
I get distracted easily, if you didn't notice. But it's within the community. It's certainly not the buzz, and Mike had a very appropriate calm on that. But within the running community, yes, it's still there. The vibe at the finish was really good. I mean, they were lined 3, 4, 5 deep all along 17th Avenue. I mean, the excitement of the finish was there. It took 6 minutes for the half marathon to get through the starting line. I mean, they still had 12,000 runners for all events.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yep.
Yeah, and remember back when Mike Almquist and Mark started this, they thought if they get 2,000 people, it'd be really amazing. And they built it into something amazing.
Right.
Really amazing.
When we first televised it in, 2014 or 15, and we had 20,000 people for all the events. I mean, we were humming at that particular time. And you and I talked about this, sadly, the day or day after that Mark passed. And I'm like, I worry about the future of this event without him, because he just was like I said, the force of it. Anything that was around it, he was he did everything from setting the cones to right down the streets of where to turn. He literally was involved in everything of it. It feels different. I'm glad to see there was still the amount of runners there, and to see the local winners that won, and to see the guy ran, what was it, 226?
Yeah.
They ran on in not great conditions on Saturday morning and be out there running.
Yeah, they had runners from all 50 states again.
That's great.
That's incredible.
That's great.
I mean, that's an attractive race for a lot of people.
Yep.
The winner, Tucker Ringhand from Crosby Ironton High School. He wasn't that good in high school. He goes to Michigan Tech, all of a sudden gets better, wins the great GLAC, Great Lakes Intercollegiate Athletic Conference 10K 3 weeks ago. Runs a 19-miler, his longest run ever, like 2 weeks ago, and then comes and never run a marathon, just right out of college, and just blows it away.
Amazing.
And again, in memory, it was pretty touching stuff. His Clay Twigg, his high school coach, convinced him to run it in memory of others. His father passed away 2-3 years ago. He ran it in memory of Mark Knutson via Clay Twigg. And so we had a meeting last Wednesday, a staff meeting. And it's like, I'm not really sure the story angles here like you. They just didn't filter in like they did. But there's always first-time winners. Everybody has a story.
Once you get to race day.
You go there, and you just, as a reporter, you see what's going on. Yep. I mean, the women's winner, Erin Valenti, 40. She's Erin Valenti at South. What a great story. Living in Montana the last 10 years, comes back to her hometown, and she blew away the competition, too. I didn't really hear about her until I was talking to her after the race. She goes, I was on the same team as Laura Racler. And she ran in the same events as Laura Racler. So naturally, you're always going to be second fiddle.
Correct.
She ran and finally after Laura graduated, she was a year younger. She wins the 800 the next year in the Class A state meet.
Oh,
but
man.
She looked the part of an athlete.
And Claire Grindy won again. We just saw Claire last week at state track win 4 titles.
What a prep phenom story.
And then she wins the 10K on Saturday.
I just can't say enough on what that is.
She's in 7th grade. Just wrapped up 7th grade.
Is she going to be targeted for NIL by some other high schools
Maybe,
here?
Yeah, right?
Because
pretty good.
that is amazing stuff. And she's going to leave, if she stays at Hillsborough, Central Valley, blah, blah, blah. She's going to have 25 state titles.
Could be at this rate. Yeah. It's
or somewhere around there.
So what are you, in 7th grade? You're what, 13, 14 years old? I mean, we're just at the tip of it here.
I was really impressed with her after the race. I thought, okay, as she's going across the line, and the race announcer, Fitz Kohler, goes, and 13-year-old, wins it. I didn't realize she was 13 until she said that.
Yeah.
I went, okay, how's this going to go with all the cameras? She was really good.
Yeah.
She
aced it last week. If you talked to Sam interviewed her.
She was
every
comfortable.
time. She killed it every time. She was great.
It's like she'd been
really
doing
good.
that for years.
Correct. And she was going to be at this rate. She might be.
Yeah.
I'm glad you said. I was just the buzz around it, and I know I had my head in other things last week. So we actually got. It's we're getting to the marathon, and it just felt different, and I'm glad to see it still had some. It will always have great storylines on race day. It doesn't have that. And I had somebody say this to me, and I think it was another person said it to Mike for his column. It doesn't have that personal, local touch to it right now, and I don't know if it ever will. with Mark being gone.
Well, I think it's a case where maybe one of the city leaders, the mayor, step up and maybe start being a little more cheerleading about it.
I agree. There's a lot of things I think the mayor could step
Denny
up on.
Wallaker was amazing.
Yes,
Denny
correct.
Wallaker was amazing, and
Yes.
and he told Mark and Mike, let us know what we can do. And I'm sure the
Right.
city is accommodating. I'm not saying that.
Yep.
But there's just that, and it goes to a lot of things now with the leadership in this community. You know, the dome vote.
Going to
There's
the dome was
there's
one.
nobody
Yep.
out in front on that.
Yep. Making a permanent course for the marathon. That would be part of the city be involved in that too, right?
Yeah. Although I think they're making strides at that. That was a goal when I talked to Chip about a month ago.
Yeah. Really?
It's finally
Okay.
they're finally out of the dip on Elm Street. They're finally away from those bike paths. And all the streets and the routes, I believe, are off the floodplain for the
Okay.
most part that I know of. So that's a first step there.
That's right. The 5K was that finished? Where did that finish?
Started and finished in Concordia.
How about that? Okay, that's different. What did you make of that?
It was all right. Yeah.
See, I love the 5. When I ran it, every year we did. Well, no, the last 2 years I did it, we finished in the dome. That was cool that we got to finish where the marathon runners got to finish. That part I really liked. Not to say that this wouldn't have been a cool deal, but coming in down the ramp, whatever it was, 30 some odd minutes after I finished, that was still pretty neat.
Yeah, but I'm guessing it's
the amount of money on that,
cost
right.
saving measure with the
Yep.
with the expo.
They're not going to do that
with the expo
Yeah.
at Concordia and registrations at
Right.
Concordia. It'd be 5K is certainly a better fit at the dome with the parking.
Correct. Right, because I don't know where you had how many runners ran that? 6,000. Something was crazy in the 5K. It was really
pretty
good. Really
Yep.
good numbers on
Again,
that.
the participation's there.
Yeah.
Just the community buzz is not
there. We got a bunch of emails for you, so let's break. We come back. We'll answer those. Get to a couple other topics here with Jeff Kolpack. Joins us each and every Monday. His appearance is brought to us by Northwestern Mutual. Back on Hot Mic right after this. Welcome back, everybody. Emails are pouring in for Kolpack here. You're a popular man.
Well, since you sabotaged my X account and
that's
Twitter
one of the
account,
emails is to ask Jeff what's going on with his Twitter account and his best bud Elon Musk.
well, you
What happened?
somehow sources have told me you're being investigated. That somebody somehow got into my X account and your identification is your email, I guess.
Yep.
And so I don't know how this happens, but my email went to this parody account like Kolpack 0842. And so you go down X, there's no phone number to call. And so I emailed like 8 different occasions on different ways to say, and each time they said, I'm sorry, we can't identify you as the owner. So after 8, 9, 10 emails and 9 days of trying, I had to start over.
Oh, man.
12,000 followers down the tubes, Dom. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, it's all me. So what is your
you were
new
getting jealous
handle?
because I was catching you.
Yeah, what's your new handle then?
Kolpack Forum.
Kolpack Forum.
Can you put that out? Can you help me out?
We'll do that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So there you go. Another comes in, Jeff, after Tom Hoagie's another top 10 finish. Does he have a good chance at the Ryder Cup team?
No, Fringer.
Okay, so
something's got to happen here, and then he's got to. Winning a tournament would go a long way.
Absolutely. The latest, I believe, Ryder Cup points came out this morning. He was on the fringe of that. He's out of the top 12 now.
Yeah.
So top 6 in points automatically make it, and then Keegan Bradley has 6 captain's picks. You got to play well. Obviously, tournament win.
He was with the big names.
Right. This is the top 12 now. He was just out of this, I want to say, right around Masters time. He missed back-to-back cuts. Is not going to help. Missed the PGA and missed Colonial. But a top 10 at the Memorial.
Harris English is no great shakes.
Andrew
Novak.
Novak, right. Ben Griffin, I couldn't pick out of a two-man lineup next to you.
He's been hot.
So,
He's one of the hottest golfers out there.
I mean, the top 6, are no-brainers. It's Scheffler, Schauffele, DeChambeau, Thomas, Morikawa, Russell Henley. Those are, you got to go with those guys.
I don't know, is Morikawa talking to the media these days?
That seems to be a thing with professional golfers these days, and nobody wants to talk to the assembled jackals after a round. Not
and
sure
again,
what that's about.
I take no offense if somebody goes, I don't want to talk to you, but it's your fans. Your fans deserve to hear from you.
Yeah, I struggle with that. I probably do take offense probably more than I need to. Like, no, you need to talk to us. If you're the best player in the world, like Rory McIlroy didn't talk at the PGA for 4 straight days, you got to talk.
Yeah. Well, I had Amy Olsen on my golf show a couple weeks ago, and we talked about that. Yeah. And she said, well, yeah, it's, especially in the LPGA. I mean, you need to really get the PR.
You got to market yourself.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Honestly, golf, you got to market yourself. If you were to go talk to a random sports fan, how many out of 10 know who Colin Morikawa is?
Look how Bryson changed the perception of himself.
Correct.
By just being so accessible and being on YouTube now and winning the U.S. Open and being almost the last guy to leave the course.
Yes. Yep.
He literally was almost the last one to leave the course.
Yep. I agree on that. We just got the candidates for the 2026 ballot for the College Football Hall of Fame.
God, yeah.
Which is, a laundry list of guys. It goes everyone from...
I thought you had a lot of emails. Was it 2? Was that a lot?
There's a couple other I want to say for off air. Politics guy Jordan Lynch is on there. Tim coached him at Northern Illinois with the year he was up for the Heisman, 2013.
But there's no
Cam Newton's on there.
guys.
There's no North Dakota State connection
Billy
at
Turner.
all.
Billy Turner's eligible.
Billy Turner's eligible. Craig Bowles eligible. I mean, you got guys on here that are that played 40 years ago that are on here. So I don't know what the criteria
Brock
is.
Jensen left as the all-time wins leader in FCS.
There are 2 guys that we do know that we saw here against the Bison. Eric Breitenstein. Remember him from Wofford?
Well, I'd take
the bowling ball that he was.
And why is that? Why does he supersede Billy Turner?
So he was a 2-time first-team All-American.
Billy was 3.
Wofford's all-time leading rusher, Walter Payton Award finalist, set the NCAA record for 100-yard rushing games in a season, which is the year the Bison played him. He had 12 in 2012.
Yeah, he had 30 carries a game.
He did. I mean, had 40 something.
Yeah.
Ask Grant Olson. He probably still has number 7 imprinted on him because that was the game Grant had 29 tackles.
Grant wakes up in the morning and goes,
Breitenstein, right? The other is Tim Flanders, the running back from Sam Houston State.
And was he better than John Crockett?
No. So Flanders was a 3-time All-American, much like Billy was. 2-time Southland Player of the Year, the only back ever to lead the league in rushing 4 consecutive seasons. I'm going to give some Southland slander here. That's not that big a mark. I'm going to say
in
a throwing league where they throw it 50 times a game. Bison fans got to see at that time
he was good.
He was a fine
he's
player.
Not that.
I remember how many stories did we do going to that first title game? The Bison are going to have to stop this guy who ran all over Montana. Remember in the semifinal, and he was
stonewalled.
The Bison defense was really good both years that they played Flanders in the title game. He was not. I can't think of a Flanders moment in the title game. Can you? Either one of them in 11 or 12?
No.
I can remember other moments that happened in those games. I don't remember Tim Flanders.
I feel like he had an occasional 15-yarder.
But not a big one.
No.
Not a 30. So anyway, that's congrats to be nominated or to be on the finalist is a huge accomplishment.
I don't know how you get nominated, but whoever nominates.
To be on there is a huge deal, but the fact that we're now entering, what is it, Jeff? We're into year 17 of the Division I era at NDSU, and we still don't have anybody up here is kind of surprising. I don't know. Maybe we're the only 2 barking at the clouds on this.
It's a slap in the face, personally. But
I don't understand that. All right, got one. I don't know if you saw this because we have time. Dom and Jeff, I'd love to hear your opinion on what happened in the Tennessee-UCLA softball game yesterday. Did you see this?
Didn't see it.
Okay.
I was watching baseball.
Kyle, do you have the video ready? Because I sent this earlier. So it was the College Softball World Series yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Tennessee and I was going to get to this later in the show. Tennessee and UCLA are playing. This is the top of the 7th inning. UCLA hits a home run. That's Megan Grant hits a homer. Ties the game, Jeff, in the top of the 7th, right? They're down to their last 2 outs here. Now watch as she comes in for a celebration. You can't know. She missed home plate.
Yes.
So the on-deck batter pushes her because she notices that, hey, you didn't touch home. Watch. So she drags her back to touch home plate. The Tennessee coaches went nuts. See, she goes right over home plate. See, she never touched it. So the Tennessee staff, of course, went ballistic. Like, wait a minute, she didn't touch home.
What's the ruling?
So they had a 15-minute review on this, and it counts. It ended up counting in the long run, which is just wild. Now,
I think Tennessee has a beef.
So after the game, they actually had to go. You knew this was going to come out. Umpire Cameron Ellis announced that Grant had missed the base and was later assisted toward home plate by a teammate, but determined that the incident was, quote, not reviewable according to Appendix G of the section of the
Well,
NCAA
I guess
rule
rules
book
are rules, yeah.
related to reviewable
Okay.
plays upholding Grant's home run and a 4-4 tie. Now, later, I believe the NCAA tweeted out the official rule that they considers when a home run is considered a dead ball, and then the player can go and assist a player to go back and touch home plate. To me, that sounds absolute baloney, but that was the ruling yesterday. So
I would
just
I
wild.
would think you need to change the rule. You can't be assisted to home plate.
So this was.
Can you?
So what made the play not reviewable? This is from the Pool report statement yesterday. A runner being assisted on the base pass by a teammate is not on the list of reviewable plays in the NCAA softball rulebook. I don't know how the umpire missed it, frankly. I mean, she didn't come close. You've been around the game as much as I have. Aren't they looking right at what the batter is supposed to touch home?
100%.
Right?
First base umps, always looking at, did you touch home?
Right.
And that was reviewed in the Bison baseball game.
Correct.
When they thought a Bison runner missed it, he barely caught it
because
on the corner.
Here it is. Because a home run is considered a dead ball per rule 12.17.34. On an initial offense, a warning would have been issued to the offending team, and it would have not affected the score of the game.
So at the marathon, there was a gentleman coming in on the marathon and just stumbled about 10 feet before the finish line.
Okay.
And so Fitz Kohler comes down from the stand and goes, "Hey, we need a medical assist here." And she goes down there, and they help the gentleman across the finish line.
Yeah.
And so that doesn't count.
Well, we've seen that more often than not.
I know. I was just joking,
yeah.
but he was fine. He just severe cramps, but
I can't imagine a warning. A warning would have been issued. That's it. She's not out. I don't understand.
Well, I think I see an off-season discussion in the works there.
Because literally the on-deck batter pushed Grant back to touch home plate there. And it's not, I mean, that was to tie the game at the World Series.
Well, I think maybe the rule,
wow,
maybe these celebrations at home plate, you might want to temper them a little bit.
Yeah, right?
Because in baseball, they don't. I mean, unless it's a walk-off, I suppose. And that wasn't a walk-off.
No, that was to tie the game at the top of the seventh inning, right? So, I mean, it's a huge play in the game. And granted, there was a former Twin, Kendry Morales. He broke his leg celebrating when he walk-off home run. He slipped on home plate. He broke his leg.
When I was coaching, I was usually the first base coach, and somebody jacked one. I'm always, touch.
Yeah.
Right. Usually, yeah. Don't be watching it over the fence. Make sure you hit the base.
Just a wild, wild deal there. Great stuff as always, man. Good stuff to see you at the
thanks
marathon.
again for the sabotaging of my X account.
We got it out there. We'll make sure that people know about where to follow you on your new account on Twitter.
You're just always trying to get me.
Evidently.
Yeah.
Good to see you. Jeff
You too.
Kolpack joins us each and every Monday at 10 o'clock. His appearance is brought to us by Northwestern Mutual. We appreciate that. We'll break. We come back. First team All-State selection. Carter Evanson from West Fargo-Horace about verbally committing to play hoops at UND. There it is, everybody. You can follow him there. Back on Hot Mic on this Monday morning, right after this. Welcome back, everybody. Holy cow, final half hour of a busy Monday show. Missed it over the weekend, and I don't blame you because there's about 8 million things going on. West Fargo-Horace has its first men's Division I basketball recruit. Guy we had on the show back in January, I want to say, when things were starting to percolate on the recruiting circuit. And now he's in the clubhouse with a verbal commitment to the University of North Dakota. West Fargo-Horace standout, first team All-State selection. Carter Evanson joins us here on this Monday morning after he announced Saturday that he's going to play for Paul Sather and UND. It's great to see you, bud. Congratulations. Why was it UND? Why did they win out?
I had a really good feeling. I went on a visit there a couple weeks ago. Drove me around his truck. We went to the dorms, everything like that. Looked at the food, facility, talked, and I was kind of close to committing on the spot, if I'm being honest, but I want to wait a little bit, a couple weeks, see how things play out. But yeah, I had a really good feeling there. Like, I knew it was the place after the visit, and I know a lot of guys there, incoming freshmen, former UND players. Talked to Trace Eagle staff a little bit. He said great things about Paul Sather and the coach, and yeah,
When you called Coach Sather, what was the reaction on the other end of the phone?
He was like, "Are you serious, man? You want to commit right now?" He was happy. It was pretty cool. And then I called Estevan and the other assistant, and they were on the golf course. It was pretty cool. They were together, and they told me they were going crazy. Yeah, it was fun.
We were visiting off air. Was this way ahead of your own timeline? We talked in January when the Bison offered and attention started to come. Was this way ahead of your own personal timeline of when you wanted to have this done?
Yeah, like I talked to a lot of college guys, and they said just wait till end of the summer, if anything. So yeah, I was gonna wait till end of July, end of AAU season, so I can get those live periods done with. And I don't know. After the visit, I wanted to get it over with. I knew I wanted to go to UND. It felt like home, and I have a lot of family up there and a lot of friends. So I just called Sailor up and committed.
All right, so let's go back to end of January. That's when you and I last talked. How did life change after that, even on the basketball court? I know people know you're pretty good. Did you find yourself in more double, triple teams playing? How did life change, if at all, after the first offer came in?
I mean, yeah, it changed a little bit. I got kind of more face guarded, more like they wouldn't let me score, and if they didn't let me score, that's good for them. But nothing like crazy, just kind of face guard a lot, not let me catch the ball.
To now have this over and done with, I mean, what was your own personal feeling Saturday? Say, okay, you know what, I'm going to make this public and it's over and done with.
Yeah, I was at the AU tournament Saturday, so I played one game and then got the graphic, so I just posted and I could just play with relief. I don't have to go any elite camps anymore this summer. I don't have to take any more visits. And yeah, so a lot of relief. I can just kind of be a kid, have a summer, keep hooping and working out.
I guess, how much does this change anything? Because I'm sure you had big plans of going and trying to, and my words, show off for everybody. How much does this change things now?
Yeah, I can have summer. I can go to the lake a little bit more now. But yeah, a lot of lake time and less camps.
Describe, for people that haven't seen you play, Carter, where do you feel like you fit on the floor? What kind of player you can be at the next level in the Summit League?
Yeah, okay. So on my AU team, I'm like a combo guard, 1 and 2. High school kind of combo guard, but I think Sailor wants me to be a 2, which I'm totally fine with. I like that. That's like my go-to position, coming off the catch, stuff like that.
I have to ask here, I'm going to rip the Band-Aid off. I know the end of the season didn't go the way you wanted. Tell me about thinking of, now it's been a couple months since it happened, of what went down and just missing out on state, what that emotion has been like.
Yeah, it was rough right away, but you know, it's a good learning experience. We're a young team, and I think it's good to learn that, like, to handle adversity in those games when you're up by a lot, and then it's a close game with a couple of seconds left on the shot clock, and I missed some clutch free throws, but yeah.
How tough is that to sit on, man? It's a mental thing too. You got to be mentally tough. How difficult has that been to sit on that?
I kind of just took it, just like whatever, just nothing else you can do about it. Just oh well.
Does it make it even more determined now for this upcoming season of what you want to do?
Yeah, I think our team we could win it all. At least go there, but I think we can win state. We have a good squad, a lot of great players on our team, well coached.
When in your mind did Division I basketball become reality? Was there a moment, a conversation to say, someone said to you, we think you're good enough? Can you tell us about that?
Yeah. So it was last summer? I started getting a couple Division I texts. I thought it was like so cool. Like I thought I was like coolest guy ever. It's kind of fun. But yeah, I kind of was like, no way I'm going to be a Division I athlete, because that's always been a dream for me since I was young.
To be the first from Horace to play D1 men's basketball. No, Jaden has done it now on the girls' side. She's going to be out at Gonzaga next year. You're going to be the first on the men's side. What's that mean to you?
Yeah, it's pretty cool to like lay a foundation, but I think the classes below me and so on, like there'll be a lot of Division I athletes, because Horace they're going to be good in the next few years and later years.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, obviously girls basketball, football won. There's boys basketball. Hey, we gotta keep up, keep the train going here.
That was our talk. We were like, everyone's done it but us, so we gotta do something.
So you play AU ball, and we were talking off air of for people that don't understand how crazy basketball is now, especially in the summer. Give us the life of what it's like for an AU player like yourself these days.
Yeah, it's like a lot of workouts. Like I do basketball and lifting every single day in the week, and then we have Chicago weekends, Minneapolis weekends, where I'd go down like Thursday and do 2 workouts with Minneapolis guys, then have 4 games on the weekends. It's crazy.
And how often is a Division I coach or coaches at these kind of games?
So they're only the live periods. So there can only be D1s, I think, at one tournament. No, I think it's one tournament right now. And that was a Chicago one. And yeah, it was pretty cool. Paul Saylor, he came all the way down from Grand Forks, and he was in Chicago. He was at all 4 games. So I thought that was pretty cool. It showed a lot of dedication.
Is it nerve-wracking knowing those guys in the stands watching? I mean, you're just playing ball, but knowing full well you're trying to basically show off as well?
Yeah, I mean, right away, like, warm-ups is kind of scary, but, like, as the game gets on, just kind of be yourself. Don't do dumb things, and do what a college coach likes you to do.
So now this is over and done with. How do you feel like this will change, not necessarily other teams' approaches to you, but knowing, hey, okay, there's a definite stud that plays for Horace that we got to make sure he's not going to beat us tonight.
Yeah, so there's always a target on my back now that I'm committed and everything like that, so I just got to play with it and just keep using my teammates and play strong.
Was staying close to home, was that a big deal or not necessarily?
I mean, yeah, a little bit. It's far enough to get away from my parents, but also close enough where I can watch my brother grow up, because I want to see him grow up through high school. I want to see his high school career because he's pretty good. So I want to see that, yeah.
The fact of getting a chance to play at UND in the Summit League, knowing full well North Dakota State, South Dakota State, what excites you about that, about the level of competition you're going to be facing?
Yeah, I can't wait. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be a lot of good guys. The Summit League's full of great players, and it's going to be fun competing against one of my friends, Max Iverson, who's going to NDSU.
And we had Max on the show on Friday about his commitment to NDSU. What do we not know, Carter, about the level of basketball in North Dakota right now? I mean, I think some people know, but you're in it. What do we not know about it on a day-to-day basis? What's it like?
Yeah, it's like it's getting better every single year. Like, everyone says North Dakota basketball is pretty weak, but I don't think it is. Just really underrated. Like, there's a lot of great players that just some don't have the right exposure, but some are slowly getting there. And yeah, it's tough.
Did you get a message or phone call from anybody you didn't know? Like, I'm sure your phone blew up. Did you get something on Saturday? Like, I have no idea this is from.
Yeah, I had one of those texts, but I didn't really ask who it was. I said thank you a lot. Appreciate it. I felt bad asking, but yeah, it was awesome.
Would you pick up your phone after that comes out and you're going to play? Is that something like? Are you surprised when you get the amount of responses that you did?
A little bit. I kind of expected a little bit less, but a lot of people. I have a lot of great friends and family on my side, so I thought it was great. They all congratulated me.
That's fantastic. Hey, I appreciate the time, man. Thanks so much for doing this on a Monday. Congratulations. Have a great summer. We'll catch up when the season gets going, okay?
Sounds good. Thank you. Appreciate it for having me.
Carter Evanson from West Fargo Horace, first-team All-State selection, and now he can add another first to his name. He's the first boys basketball player that's going to play Division I men's hoops out of Horace. Jaden Hale was the first overall Division I player, and obviously she's going off to Gonzaga for this coming year. Carter has this upcoming season, and he'll join UND for the class of 2026. He mentioned Max Iverson. If you missed our interview with Max, it was fantastic on Friday. You can go back and watch and podcast that. Those two guys, pretty good friends, and I think I'm probably going to speak out of school here because I don't have my facts completely on this, which people will say, well, what's new on that? But I could tell, but NDSU offered Carter first, and I think they really liked Max Iverson. I think they really liked Carter Evanson. I think they may have liked Max maybe a little bit more, and that's why they maybe have gone that route. Again, they can't comment on it till November of 2025, so we got still another 6 months before they can actually comment on it. But I would tend to think that's probably what they ended up deciding. And I don't know if they even say that on the record, but that's likely what probably ended up happening there. Because I got a couple of messages from Bison fans on Saturday night when the news broke. Well, wait a minute. I thought we offered this kid. We're not going to get him? I would tend to think that's probably what went down there. But nice to see you got another North Dakota guy going to play Division I hoops in the state. That's never a bad thing. And that's why I asked Carter that before he wrapped up. The level of play just keeps getting better here as we go forward. All right, we'll break. We come back. We got a bunch of emails. We got a couple more coming in on that UCLA play that we'll get to, and we'll get you ready for a great Sports Monday. We'll wrap up Hot Mike right after this on WDAY Extra and Inforum.com. All right, wrapping things up here on a Monday. Good to get the week started here. All right, we got a bunch of emails coming in on a variety of things, so let's get to it now. Off the top of the show, Dom, congrats on a great weekend of coverage, but since you guys proved you could do it, you maybe lose your argument of too many tournaments in one weekend. Okay. Those are two different deals. We can do what we did, which was awesome. I will still stand by, and it's beyond sanity to have 6 in one weekend. I don't know anybody else who does that. I don't. And frankly, and I respect a lot of the athletic directors, coaches. I do. They have a tough job, especially in high school athletics these days. But we can go a week longer. It's really not the end of the world. I understand everybody wants to be done. My wife is in education. I get it. But it's not necessarily fair that they have everything at one time. I get you want to be done. I got it. But we can... What would be the harm of having Class B baseball and softball this weekend? Right? There's no Legion games starting yet. We can do that. We can do that. Even that, give me that. I will take that morsel. Anything would be better than what we have. Because frankly, soccer was great. I'm not sure how many people, and granted, I don't know how many people pay attention to soccer to begin with, but they had to share it. Like, for Class B baseball and softball, they had to share with A, baseball and softball. Not great. Another email comes in. Dom, I missed your opening. I'd love to hear your and Jeff's perspective of the high school baseball tournaments. I've been a longtime sports fan and can't think of two better storylines with the Class A and B champions. Thompson going 4 in a row is incredible. It may never happen again. Cheyenne getting in the EDC in a 3-way tiebreaker and then running the table to me is crazy. Every game they played at State came down to the last pitch. Game 1 was a walk-off. Semis, tying run on 3rd in the 6th and the 7th. Championship, the tying run on 3rd in the 6th and the 7th. I think we're going to try and get one of the Cheyenne Stars tomorrow on the show on that. They also had one of the more controversial plays in the championship game. The Minot player crushed the Cheyenne catcher at home plate. I don't know if I put the video in or not. If I didn't, we'll get to it tomorrow. Where it was initially the runner was called safe, and then the call was overturned because it blocking or basically trucked him. I mean, now in professional baseball, you can't do that. You can't block the plate anymore. This was like a Ray Fosse, Pete Rose kind of thing that happened in the title game up in Grand Forks. But that belies the point of what the email came in. Yeah, both were great. Cheyenne getting in, and we talked with Coach Belkey on the show last Tuesday. The fact they were the 7th seed in the EDC, got in, finished runner-up at the EDC tournament, then win the whole thing for the 4th time in 5 years. Come on. That's crazy. One more email before we get to what to watch. This goes back to the softball finish. Dom, I blame the umpire for not doing his job. I don't see him anywhere in the pile. Kyle, if you can cue that up for a second. I don't remember either. In college baseball, you can only step on the field to celebrate a walk-off. A Duke player was ejected this weekend for taking 2 steps out of the dugout. Softball needs this rule. Yeah, thanks, Kyle. Yeah, well, so that's the very fringe of the left side of your screen. That's the umpire there. Yeah, that's not great. I still touch home. I get it. You're excited, but you gotta just touch home. And she just totally missed it. Totally. That's a great heads up by her teammate because she noticed. Everybody else noticed but the umpires, apparently. I don't know. Crazy deal there. Unbelievable. And Tennessee ended up walking them off as it was to advance on, which is a perfect segue to get you ready for what to watch here on this Monday. What to Watch is brought to you by Northwestern Mutual. We've got the College World Series continues today. That Tennessee team will face Texas. Tennessee's got to win twice to get to the finals, 11 a.m. on ESPN. Then later tonight, Texas Tech against Oklahoma. Oklahoma's won this tournament 4 years in a row. If they lose that game, it's over. Texas Tech goes to the final. That will start on Wednesday. Also, Yeah, buckle up tonight. 9 o'clock, Twins.tv for the Twins and the A's and about 40 fans in Sacramento. We'll have highlights of that on the show tomorrow. We got to roll. Thanks to our guests today, to Sam Herder, to Jeff Kolpack, and Carter Evanson. If you missed any of the show, you can podcast it later today at inforum.com. You can watch a full replay on WDAY+. Thanks for emails as well today. Great way to start the week. Everybody have a great Monday. Stay cool out there. Hopefully this haze gets out. And we'll see you back here tomorrow on Hot Mike on WDAY Extra, KSFL, KMBN, and Inforum.com.